What's up, lunatics? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a video about making spinnerbaits, and then we're going to go ahead and go catch some giant fish on those same spinnerbaits that we're making in today's video. I hope you enjoy it. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and drop any comments down below. Let's get into it.
So the first thing that I want to cover is the mold that we're going to be using today. It's the Ultra Minnow Spinner Jig mold. It pours a 1/4 ounce, 3/8 ounce, and 1/2 ounce. We're going to be pouring a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait today. So what's in view right now is the hook and the wire form that I'm going to be using. This is an owner spinnerbait hook. It doesn't look like anything special right now. It just has this loop at the end where the wire form connects to keep everything together inside the mold and keep everything inside the lead once it's poured and hardened up. Just goes in like that and basically kind of sits in the mold with this kind of an angle right here. So the first thing that we need to do when getting this ready to pour is we got to connect the spinnerbait hook to the wire form, and that's just as simple as just connecting it like that. And then we're going to set this down inside of our mold just like so. And what I like to do is take just a small piece of masking tape. I'm going to move this back into place, and all I do is I just take this masking tape and I just put it right there so it stays where I want it. I'm going to move this up just a tiny bit more, just like right there. And that's where I want this bait to be sitting in the mold when I go to pour it. And that masking tape helps keep this wire form from moving as much as possible. It still moves a little bit, so let me close this up. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get this in position straight over the top of the mold like so. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set it right on top of this lead pot while it's getting hot, because I want this wire form, the hook, and this mold to be nice and hot so everything pours as smooth as possible. So our mold is nice and hot. I'm going to pull it off of the pot right now so we can pour this spinnerbait. I'm going to pull it off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move just a little bit, and I'm going to cant this mold just like so, and then I'm going to open it up, let it all flow in there, and that should be a good pour. But you see right now this wire form is off center, right? It's in there, it's all snug now because the lead kind of hardened around it, but it's off center. That's not what we want. So what I like to do is I'm going to switch hands here, and you see the R bend right here. There's that R bend. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pliers, I'm going to grab this R bend just like this, the top of it, so you have both pieces of that R, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to bend this back out until I get it where I want it, so it's still a little bit off center. So I'm going to do is I'm going to just bend it again. It's still not right, so I'm going to bend it a little further, and that's pretty good. That's exactly where I want it. Okay, so now we got our mold down on the table. Let's open it up, check out what our spinnerbait looks like. Let's get this tape out of the way, and then we can literally just take a pair of pliers, because that lead's going to be hot, and grab this thing. We check it out. It's still a little hot, so be careful. And that is our spinnerbait. Obviously you can see this up here, so all we're going to do is take some cutters, and we're going to cut that off just like that, and that can actually go back in your lead pot. So this next part is going to be kind of boring for you guys to watch, but it's, you know, basically what we got to do. So we're going to take this first red bead and we're going to slide it up the shaft of this wire form. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our clevis, and I'm going to try to move all these components onto the other blade like that. And then we're going to take this and we're going to put it on our clevis. And we want to make sure, like I said just a second ago, that we want that bottom of the blade to be touching the table when it lays flat. So we're going to test that right here, and it does just like that. So then we're going to take our silver beads and put our silver beads on one by one. Okay, so we got all 6 of our blades on there. The next thing we got all 6 of our beads on there. The next thing we're gonna do is put on our last red bead. We're gonna put that on the shank right there. And now we're ready to put our swivel on. So when it gets kind of tricky when you get to the swivel, because you have to put that bend, just like this one has right here, that bend. You gotta put that bend into the wire, and I'll show you how to do that now. Okay, so what you want are round nose pliers, just like these are. You can see how the nose on these are completely round, and that's gonna help you be able to put that bend in the wire and have it be round rather than a squared off bend or something like that. So you want that round bend. I mean, you could do it with other pliers, but this is what they're made to do, is put round bends in wire like that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start it and just start that bend just a little bit, just like this. So I have it kind of at a 90, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slide this swivel on to my wire, and then I'm gonna keep going with this bend up until I get pretty close, and then I'm going to slide this swivel back up a little bit, this is where it gets tough, is when you have them all connected close like that. So bring it closer to the camera, and then you're going to want this bend to touch. You're going to want it to touch itself, so that way that swivel can't fall off. And I like to go just a little bit past it. I'll show you in a second here. And it's going to go just like that. That actually turned out pretty well. It kind of was a little bit clumsy, but it turned out pretty good. And that's what you want it to look like right there. And now we can put that final blade on. So for this part, you're going to need a pair of split ring pliers just like these. Basically, split ring pliers have this little tip on it that help you open up the split ring so you can slide something onto it. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to open up this split ring just like that. Got a decent little opening, and now we're going to take this blade and put this blade on, and then just slide the blade through the split ring using these pliers to help us out. Our blade is now on there, and we are almost done with our spinnerbait. Okay, so we switched tables. We got our spinnerbait right here. We just need to get that skirt on it, and then we'll put some eyes on it. So we got 3 colors going on to this spinnerbait. This first one is called Salt and Pepper. I like this one in the middle of the skirt. We got chartreuse right here, and we have regular old white right here. We're gonna take out 1 strip of each of these. Keep it simple, as we can do 1 strip of each. This is a pretty simple skirt to make. Some people make some pretty elaborate skirts, but I keep it pretty simple. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and put it in half. And basically all I do is I just estimate it. I don't get real perfect with it. Is I just separate this in half and I just tear it off just like this. So now we have 2 sides of it. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side and just pull it apart. And then I'm going to do that on all the other pieces as well. So now we have all 3 of our pieces ready to go, and now we just got to get it onto our skirting tool and put these 3 pieces together. So what we're going to be using today is this white skirt collar. We're going to take that skirt collar and put it right on those metal pieces that come out of the skirting tool. You just slide it on there just like that, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to open it up. So as you can see, that white skirt collar is now opened up on our skirting tool, and the next thing we're going to do is slide on our colors. The first one I'm going to put on here is the white. The next one I'm going to do is this salt and pepper one, because I want that one in the middle. And then I want this chartreuse one on the other side, the opposite side of the solid white. And what I want to do is I want to make sure all these ends match up and they're the same length. And then I'm going to tighten this thing back down just like that. And our skirt is now ready to take off of the skirt tool. Open it up just slightly, pull that out, and now we have our skirt. And all you have to do is cut these little ends off and slide it onto your spinnerbait, your jig, whatever. The process is the same for all of them. So I found the middle, and now I'm just going to slide the hook down through this skirt. And then this is where you kind of get a little effort and you kind of position everything where you want it. So it's in position where I think it looks good, and I'm going to slide this on to my spinnerbait. And now it's in position, and you can kind of adjust everything as you want right here when it's in this position, but it's looking pretty good. So now my spinnerbait has its skirt and it's ready to have the eyes put on. What I like to do though is I like to squirt a little bit out so I can make sure that I have even amounts coming out each side, and then I just move it over just like that. And then so I have consistent amounts coming out, and then I just suck it back up so that way I can put the cap on and it doesn't mix and harden on itself. So the next thing I do is I take the side where I had even amounts, which is this side right here where the Q-tip is, and all you're going to do is just stir it into itself, because you want the resin and the hardener to come together, and that's what's going to make this epoxy set up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my spinnerbait right here, and I'm just going to dab a little bit of this epoxy right on the eye like that, and then I'm going to do it again to the other side just like this. So I got epoxy on both sides, so I'm going to set it aside and get my eyes out. So for this part I like to use tweezers because it just makes it easier for me to get a hold of these eyes, because sometimes they don't want to stick very well. So I'm going to take my spinnerbait, get it back in the frame here. Make sure that you don't get your skirt all over it, but we already have epoxy in there, so I'm just going to set this eye into the lure eye, and I'm just going to dab it down so I make sure the epoxy gets on there, and that's good. And I'm going to get one more here and put it on there. Got it. I'm going to get the spinnerbait again, get it back into view, and then put it on the spinnerbait, just like that. Dab it in there so I can get epoxy all around it. And then now both eyes are on, so there's that one side, and here's the other side. So now we have eyes on both sides of our spinnerbait. And now all we have to do is let those eyes dry, and we got a spinnerbait ready to go. So as you can see, not too difficult to make your own spinnerbaits. This one I think turned out pretty good. That's one side of it. And then here's the other side. Obviously they look the same on both sides, but this thing still has those eyes that are wet on it. But that spinnerbait turned out pretty darn good. That thing will catch fish. Alright, well I'm going to switch it up and throw the old spinnerbait. It's been tough out here this morning, so got to mix it up, try something different. Going to go with the spinnerbait right now. There's one. There's one. There's a fish. Stay on there. This feels like a good one. Feels like a good one. Stay on there, fish. Stay on there. Oh, it's a good smallmouth. Stay on, fish. Stay on. Nice brown one. Get in the boat. There we go. Heck yeah. Look at that fish. Now that's a smallie right there. Hell yeah. Look at that guy. The old spinnerbait. I love that spinnerbait. The thing is so awesome. I've caught so many fish on it. Look at that. Look at that thing. Good one. There's one. There's one. Stay on there. There's another one in the boat. There we go. There we go. Spinnerbait bass. Not a bad one. Spinnerbait. Oh, there's the old spinnerbait right there. 3/8 ounce gold blade.